Hello everybody, in today's video I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of buying, investing, and living in a mobile home. So if you've been thinking about whether this might be a good living situation for you, if you've been thinking about maybe buying a mobile home or a manufactured home, I'm going to run through the biggest top pros and cons for manufactured homes and mobile homes and living in them in the United States. So the channel is Living in Northern Arizona, where I talk about everything about living in the northern half of the state of Arizona. My name is Dawn Dickinson. I am a licensed real estate agent in the state of Arizona. So if you ever have a question about buying or selling a home, I work in primarily Sedona, Verde Valley, Flagstaff, and Prescott, Arizona. So feel free to give me a call, text, email. My information is always in the description below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So before I begin, I want to clarify the differences between a mobile home and a manufactured home. You'll see a lot of different definitions online. Basically, the rule of thumb that I always use is typically a manufactured home was built after 1976, because in 1976 HUD came in and put a lot of standards, actually put all of the standards, the quality build standards for all of the manufacturers in the United States, and they all have to build up to that quality. And the second thing, probably the biggest part of the definition, is a manufactured home would be delivered to the lot on land, but the wheels are removed and it's affixed permanently. There are tie downs, and it gets an affidavit of a fixture once the home is affixed to the land, and then it becomes a manufactured home. So that's kind of a rule of thumb on the differences between mobile home and manufactured home. A lot of times the mobile homes are older, and sometimes you might see them still sitting on the wheels that brought them into the lot where it is sitting today. So the first pro, and this is probably by far the biggest pro of a manufactured home or a mobile home, is that it's going to have a lower purchase price and lower expenses. Sometimes a lot lower price. And I have been in the factory to see how these are built recently, and the newer ones look fantastic, and they do a great job building them. So the lower price and expenses, that can be a big plus if you're thinking about moving into a manufactured home. Now, the second pro to manufactured homes is a lot of times you can get in a nice manufactured home community, and then you'll have the shared experiences, the social activities, the amenities like a pool or maybe a clubhouse, and all those things that go along with living in a community. Now, when I say community, I want to specify a little bit. There are two types of mobile home communities that you want to look out for. One is what we consider a mobile home park. They call it a park. It's usually in the name, but basically that big difference is that in a park you will own the mobile home or the manufactured home, but the land that it sits on is owned by the park, and you will have a lot fee or a land lease fee or a lot rent fee, and that will be due every single month, and that will never go away. That will go on for as long as you own the manufactured home. So if you're in there for 50 years, you're going to be paying a land lease fee for 50 years. If you are considering buying in a park, because I know this is a feasible choice for a lot of people, especially as we get older and want to retire and live on a fixed income, you might want to talk with the property management company that runs the mobile home and see what kind of restrictions do they have on the lot lease fee. Will it go up? Is there a cap on how much it could go up? How much has it gone up historically, and what type of amenities do you get? Sometimes the lot lease fee will also include things like your water or your garbage collection or other things that you want to have that in your budget, and just know if they're paying for that kind of stuff, that might make the lot lease fee more feasible. So just do your homework if you're thinking about buying a manufactured home in a park, and realize that there's a lot lease fee or a land lease fee, and that's never going to go away. So number three, I think this is a good one, is there are a lot more options in manufactured home or mobile home communities that for retirement. Like if you're looking for a 55 plus community, like here in the primary area where I live and sell real estate, in like Sedona and Verde Valley, you have a lot of retirement communities that are manufactured home parks, and you have both the park that you lease the land and the kind that you own the land. You have a lot more options there for a 55 plus community than you do for retirement communities that are site-built homes. And of course, the ones with the site-built homes are going to be more expensive. Those houses are more expensive, and possibly the HOA in the site-built home in a retirement community is going to be more expensive. When I lived in Phoenix, there were places like Leisure World that were great single-family homes, but my goodness, the HOA fee back then, and I haven't worked those markets in 5 years, that was like $600, $700, $800 a month HOA fee for your site-built home in a retirement community. So the fact that you have more options for a retirement in mobile home parks or manufactured home parks is good if you're thinking about retiring and you're going to be living on a fixed income. So my number 4 pro to buying a manufactured home is there's a lot of investment potential. I do get a lot of investors calling me and they like these because you can pick one up for a reasonable price, and sometimes you can use that as a rental. I know a lot of people like the rental income they get from a manufactured home. In fact, I know somebody that lives in Phoenix that has a rental manufactured home in an age-restricted community, and what they like to do is rent it out seasonally because they get a lot of snowbirds in Phoenix, and so they'll get about 50% more monthly rental income because they're going for the seasonal market than if they had rented it out all year. So they might rent it out from September to May and make more money even though it's only rented for 9 months because they get a premium renting it for snowbirds. So rental and investment opportunities could be there if you're looking for a manufactured home for a investment. Now, advantage number 5 is you have the opportunity for appreciation, especially if your home is on land. Sometimes the homes in the park will depreciate because it's actually not considered real estate. It's considered chattel or an RV. So if you're buying a mobile home on land, that can go up. The value of that can go up over time, similar to the homes around you if you're on a lot that you own, especially if you're in a desirable location. Now, advantage number 6 is that if you were buying a brand new home and you're having one built for yourself, there are a lot of options for customization. You can pick out your colors. You can decide if you want a built-in cabinet or not the built-in cabinet. You can decide if you want rugs on the floor or vinyl. If you want green features, a lot of the new mobile homes are built very environmentally friendly, and that could also reduce your energy costs over time. But if you're getting one brand new built, there's a lot of advantage for customization, and you can build a home with your colors and set out exactly the way you want it. And then the other option is if you are having one built, you get to pick out the lot that you're going to put it on, and you maybe get a little bit more say on where the home is going to be once it's finished. And number 7, building on that, is they may be faster to build a brand new manufactured home than it is a stick-built home. Now, I say maybe because typically it is built much faster than a site-built home, but back in 2020, 2021, when we had that massive buying craze and real estate was going nuts, there was a very long wait to have one of those built. I think it was like 7-8 months. So that might not always be the case depending on the market conditions, but generally you can get one of these done and have it delivered and affixed to your lot quicker than you could get a contractor out and build a custom home for you. Okay, number 8 is you might have lower maintenance costs and energy costs in a manufactured home. They're much smaller, so not as much area that you need to heat and cool. And another thing is property taxes seem to be way lower, at least at the homes that I've looked at, than the traditional site-built homes that are in similar size. So the lower maintenance cost can be a plus, especially if you're retiring and going to be living on a fixed income. So finally, the quality standards of those have improved so much more than they did back in the day. My grandmother lived in a mobile home, a 1972 single-wide mobile home in East Mesa, but it was affixed to the land. So she owned the land, but it was an older one that did have some issues, but she loved it. She had so many friends, they had so many things to do, they had the pool, they had the shuffleboard, they had events, so it was a great option for her even though the home was older. But in 1976, HUD came out and they developed a bunch of build and quality standards. So today when you're buying them, you know that it doesn't matter if you had a capstone home versus a champion home, that they're both going to be built well because they're built to the HUD standards that were developed in 1976. And so the quality is better than it used to be, and that you can feel better not having to shop around between the manufacturers because you know all of them are built to the HUD standards that were created back in 1976. Okay, so now we're going to go to some of the cons. The first con, something we addressed a little bit, is that some of the manufactured homes or mobile homes are in a park where they have a leased land or a lot fee. So that can be kind of a pain because you're paying that land lease forever, and sometimes they're very high. I know I live in Sedona, Arizona, and there are 3 mobile home parks that I know of that are on leased land, and the lot fee is super high. It's like $800 to $1,200 a month. So, but if you move a little bit out of town and go towards Clarkdale or Cottonwood, say, that lot fee is going to be much less, maybe $500 or $600. But if you are in a touristy community, that land lease can be very high and it doesn't go away. So not owning the land is con number 1. And then part 2 of the lot lease fee is that a mobile home in a park might depreciate. It might actually depreciate over time, especially if you're not constantly maintaining it. Now, on the plus side, that could be an opportunity for you to buy or to get a very good value on one of the older homes, because you might be able to get something for $50,000 to $100,000 and pay cash for it, and then now you're only dealing with the lot lease fee, and then sometimes they're maintained by the association, and of course you've got all those shared amenities, and sometimes the garbage and the water is covered in that lot lease fee. Again, it's going to vary by the park, but the depreciation can be a problem if you're looking for investment potential of the place that you're going to buy. Issue number 3 is that some of these manufactured homes are going to be a little bit more difficult to finance. So if you have a newer one that's built since 1976 and it's affixed on its land and it's a double wide, you're probably going to get any of the traditional lenders to loan on this home. But if you've got something that's a single wide, or if it's in a park, or if it was built in their 70s or the 60s, you might need to go to a special lender. I have several lenders that will loan on this. It takes them a little bit longer to close the deal, and sometimes, probably all the time, you're going to pay a slightly higher interest rate than you would if you got a traditional mortgage on a site-built home. So financing options are going to be a little bit more limited, and because of that, sometimes that will affect your resaleability. It might take you a little bit longer to sell one of the homes if your buyer has got to go to one of these special lenders. One time I had one of these deals take 4 months to close. Of course, it was in the middle of COVID and everything was shut down, and we had to get that engineering certificate, and all sorts of stuff went wrong. You know, the appraiser wouldn't go out because it was snowing and that kind of stuff. So 4 months is not a typical scenario. That might be a worst case scenario, but your options for financing are going to be limited and could take longer to close and take longer to sell because of limited financing. Okay, the next con is that you have some maintenance issues that you wouldn't have on a site-built house. One of those is that periodically you might have to have the home re-leveled. Now, I don't see this happening or being required as often with a single-wide mobile home, but in the double-wides, it does seem like periodically you need to have a company that comes in and they do this. It's called re-leveling, and the price could vary, but I have seen the prices kind of go anywhere from $500-ish to, if yours is in very bad shape, maybe $2,500. Again, it's going to be different based on what part of the country you live in, how many providers are able to do that, but you might need occasionally re-leveling. And another thing you might need to get is an engineering certification if you are selling the home and it's being financed and the lender requires it. Sometimes it would have been done, but the owner might not have record of it, and title company might not be able to get record of the engineering certification, so you might have to have that done as well. So those extra maintenance things, the engineering cert and the re-leveling occasionally being required, those are some maintenance issues that you might have to deal with down the road. Again, it's not something you have to do all the time, but just something to keep in mind when you're thinking about buying one of these. Okay, number 4 is something I've encountered sometimes when showing these is you might go into one of these, especially a double wide, and you're walking and there's certain parts of the floor, it's like, that seems a little soft, or it seems a little squishy, and I am not sure if a releveling will always rectify that issue, but I have encountered that sometimes myself, and it's a little bit concerning that you might have to have somebody go in and either relevel it or do some kind of building up of the structure underneath if you encounter one that's squishy in some areas. Again, these are typically the older ones and maybe haven't been maintained as well. The newer ones, I haven't really encountered this, but I have had that before, where you're walking and you're like, what's going on right here? And you step in some spot in the bathroom, or you step in some spot in the kitchen where the floor seems to just kind of, sink in a teeny bit. So be on the lookout for that. If you're viewing one of these that's a little bit older, I just suggest you walk around in all the rooms and see if you encounter that. Okay, the next item is sometimes these homes are pretty small. Like you can get one of these that it's a double wide. You can get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath double wide that's, in the 2,000, 2,200 square foot and have lots of room. But some of these are very small, especially if you're looking at what they call a park model. That could be 400 or 500 square foot. That could be like a small studio apartment. Usually a park model will have a small living room, a small kitchen, and then 1 bedroom, and then maybe a little deck offside, but that could be like 400 to 450 square foot, very small. So and then a single wide, maybe a 700 square foot. You might have a 2-bed, 2-bath, but these are generally smaller. You're not going to have a 2,500 square foot if you're looking for something bigger and you want your family to move. So just the limited size is also a con. Okay, number 7 is zoning restrictions. So I do have a lot of people coming to me and they're like, I want to buy this brand new mobile home that I just saw at Champion, and I want you to find a lot for me. Well, that can be a little bit difficult because the zoning, a lot of the areas where you're looking at land don't allow the manufactured home. So you're going to have to find an area that specifically allows these types of home and that there are no zoning restrictions. So it's going to require, of course, less choices for you to buy land and more research when you're going to look. If you see something that the county has zoned it, mobile home or manufactured home, you still may need to go in and look at the CC&Rs on the lot to make sure that there are not any overlays or restrictions that aren't restricted by the county, but it is restricted in the CC&R. So it just makes your purchase of the lot, if you're getting ready to build something, a little bit more difficult. Okay, number 8 is sometimes there's a social stigma associated with the mobile homes. A lot of people are like, you live in a mobile home, or you live in a trailer. Some people will call it a trailer even though it's fixed. So you got that little social stigma going on. I don't think that you should let that bother you, but sometimes people do get bothered by that. So just keep in mind that, especially in some areas, it's the joke, God hates mobile homes, because that brings me into my next con, is that in areas where you're going to be experiencing hurricanes or tornadoes, they don't seem to stand up as well in extreme weather conditions. So the God hates mobile homes is mostly a joke in response to whenever you see a tornado get through, the manufactured homes get decimated, or if you're in a hurricane area, they can get decimated. And it's not that really God hates mobile homes, it's just that that happens to be an issue that they don't always stand up to those extreme weather conditions. Okay, number 9 is something that I have noticed before, but it might only be an Arizona thing, is it seems like the manufactured homes that are in areas that are not age restricted are not always well taken care of. Like sometimes I go in through some of the areas and it's like, especially in the super rural communities where it's like, right across the street, you've got a guy that's got 8 cars in the driveway, and he's got a refrigerator on the porch, and he's got his old sofa sitting in the yard. So sometimes some of these communities might have that going on, but when you're in the 55 plus community, they always seem to be very well taken care of. And I can't tell you why that is, but I have encountered this. Once I was showing a mobile home in Camp Verde, way out in Verde Lakes, and I'm driving up there, and as I turn the block, there's like 5 stray dogs that are chasing my car down the road as I'm getting ready to show this mobile home, and I park and I'm like, can I get out? And eventually they lost interest and went away. But it's like sometimes the communities that aren't age restricted, I don't know why this would be, but they don't take care of them as well. Now, this might only be an Arizona thing, but that's just something to pay attention to when you're looking for these. I would never, especially not age restricted, go buy one of them without having visited them, or at least have your realtor go in. I do this sometimes. I'll go in and do a video tour if you can't make it to town, and I will video the entire block so you get an idea how the neighborhood is. So, but that's just something. Seems like the retirement communities are always well taken care of, but sometimes the ones that aren't age restricted can be let go and have a little bit of a run-down neighborhood when you're looking in there. Okay, and number 10, my last issue, this is something very important. If you're buying a home and you're thinking of fixing it up, make sure you use a licensed contractor who is familiar with working on these types of homes. Because sometimes you'll get an amateur, oh, I'm going to have my brother-in-law come in, we're going to put a covered porch on the side. And what happens is these homes are built, they are built so that you can put them on wheels, you can drive them up the highway at 80 miles an hour, and you can fix them, and it's done. And so they're built to really withstand this delivery process, but they're not necessarily able to have you hang an awning over the side and put a bunch of weight on the thing. The structural integrity could go south very fast if you have somebody that's not familiar with these. So if you have somebody that's just going to lean an awning off the side, I've heard of the whole side of the home collapsing and getting destroyed if you have an amateur contractor doing some work for you. So just keep in mind, if you're going to put on, especially if you're going to put on a deck or an awning, make sure the person that's doing that work for you knows what they're doing and knows that they can't hang weight off the side of one of these things. Same thing if you're inside and, oh, I'm going to remove this wall, because some of the older ones I've seen, they have these built-in things in the center. Make sure that's not weight bearing, because if you say take something out, it could really mess up the entire project. But overall, I think it is a good option for affordable housing, especially as we age and are thinking of retiring and want to live on a fixed income. So I certainly wouldn't let any of the cons dissuade you right away. It's just important that you do your research, because a lot of this is very specific to the home itself and the community that you are looking to buy in. So that's all for today. My name is Dawn Dickinson. I am a realtor in Northern Arizona. I sell primarily in Sedona, Verde Valley, Flagstaff, and Prescott area, sometimes in Phoenix. I have contact information in the description below. If you ever wanted to give me a call, text, email, and talk about buying or selling a home in Arizona, please feel free to reach out. I will get back to you. I post videos every single week about living in Northern Arizona. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you subscribe, hit the like button, and I will see you back here again on my channel next week.